changed my life.
Been very emotional.
Alrighty. Well, welcome back to the podcast. Today we have a special guest. We've got the veteran and now the head conditioning coach of Bloaton FC, the face of Airlocker, every girl's dream and mine, Sandor Earl.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the intro. It's very good. Thanks, boys. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah.
Hey, and I want to say, as a paying homage to my recent content and focus, I hold myself accountable. I have dicked you boys around a little bit. I think we've tried to do this 4 times, so apologies, but it's a pleasure to be here. I love what you guys are doing, so I'm looking forward to the chat.
If I've been honest, I was going to send you a message yesterday because I saw you probably think about accountability and I was just about to post it and then you sent me a message, you're like, good to be going tomorrow. I was like, yes. Yes, I am. And I was like, see how much he's into this accountability.
That's right.
I like
That's
it.
right.
I like it. You follow through with it. Like,
yeah.
you know, you said you were going to do it and you did. So.
I'm loving using social media, like kind of taking this route with everything, especially marketing with the gym and myself, but I'm loving using it as an accountability tool rather than like it's all sunshine and rainbows on Instagram.
Yeah.
Not that you're going out there and posting anything that's too, well, I don't think there's that much that goes wrong in my life, to be honest, but trying to like use it as more like to say not everything's perfect and own the mistakes and be vulnerable in that way, and we spoke about that. So, like, I think it's a cool way to use social media, which again is a little bit different, but it'd be nice to see people
do you reckon it's starting to transition that way a little bit? Like more and more people are starting to do that.
I think so. I think if you're in the space and you're cotton on, like authenticity is that's the way to go these days. So the more real, the more authentic you can be, and people want to do it. They just need like things like this or ourselves that are trying to open people's mind up to that. I think that's the biggest impact I want to have. Empower people to be like, be who you really are. Everyone's got a story. Own it. Live through it. Be real. Be authentic. Don't try and be what you think people want you to be.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of loving that journey at the moment.
I reckon that's 100% right. When we've had a couple of the guests on, they're like, "Oh, I just gotta be careful what I'm saying." I was like, "Fuck it, just say it." I was like, honestly, what's really gonna happen?
There's been a couple. I won't say who, but there's been a couple where it's like, we'll have the podcast recorded, and it's just like, all right, I'm gonna go chat to this person, make sure it's good with this person, and then we're gonna do this and this and this and this and this. I'm like, I get it. Like you're in that light, and you got to make sure that you're in that right light as well. But yeah, I'm loving what you're doing. I'm loving what Ellie's doing. I love that. Like fire me the fuck up. Every time I see a story, I'm just like, like even that other night when you were leaving work and you guys were just doing those squat lunges. Yeah. And just like with your backpack on, I was like, these cunts don't stop.
Yeah, man, I was just like, the other day I was laying in bed and I was just like, I should go to the gym. Then I saw you doing your shit. I was like, fuck, I should have went to the gym.
Mate, I'll tell you what, I think I took inspiration away from like, obviously we have challenges. It's pretty common in group training and gyms. And I was reflecting, I was like, what is it about a challenge that all of a sudden people are willing to do anything and everything? I'm pretty motivated and disciplined, even with good intentions, but work gets a little bit busy. I'm a little bit tired. I will be like, I'll find every excuse and be like, no, I can't do it today. Like I'll do it tomorrow. All of a sudden, you set yourself a challenge, hold yourself accountable on Instagram, 200 lunges, 150 push-ups, 50 pull-ups, and it's like now I'm 11 p.m. I'm in the car park, got to do my lunges. I said I was going to do it. So like it's amazing. I just think it's the simplest hack, and I'm going to keep doing it, and people will want to do it because of that. And it's like set yourself a challenge, hold yourself accountable, and you just will get it done. So very simple hack that I think everyone should do in whatever capacity.
Yeah, I'd say even when like the littlest things you can hold yourself accountable for. Like my best mates just went to Europe. They just got back. And I was sick, and I said I was going to watch that dog, and I never did. And like the last day they come back, because I was like, it's alive. And it was getting looked after by someone else, but they just didn't want to wash him. And I was like, no, I have to go get it done. And they're like, you don't have to do it. It's like it's pretty late. And I was like, no, I'm fucking washing him. We went to the dog wash, gave him mad wash, and come back, and they're like, you didn't have to do that. And I was like, no, I said I would do it, so I got to do it.
And then your words all you got. You know? So
exactly.
It's important. But yeah, there's just something about that. And now I've done that, I'm going to add stuff to it. I like the fitness element to it, but then it's like all the little things that I say I want to do, journaling, all these things, good intentions, but it's like now I'll put it in the funnel, 30 days, got to do it every day, hold myself accountable, and you just get it done. So like start with something simple or something that you're actually interested in, get into a good habit, and then realize the power of it, and then just start adding stuff. Yeah. And I feel like just don't stop doing it. It's just a very simple hack that works.
Yeah. That's what we pretty much do that too. Like, you start off just being tasking, like doing the shift with him. It was like a task you had to do, and if you missed it, you had to do a physical punishment. It was like we were doing it, and people were just kind of like, you'd seen it, just like, oh, it's alright, it's only burpees or push-ups. And then he's just like, came out of nowhere and he's like, you've got to record yourself singing a song. And you're like, fuck. And it like changes the whole thing. And then you had to like video. Some of the boys got right into it. One of the boys got like, was on a construction site and set up like a rope and everything and did like the Wrecking Ball by Miley Cyrus. And like full, like had the outfit on and everything. It was pretty good.
And that's who we are. Like, people want to be a part of something. People want to do it. Like, so. And there's also something, but now I got my mates who are at Airlocker. So you got Mike Chapman and Mitch Evans, the two lads, and like they're doing it. And now all of a sudden you're doing it with your mates. It's like you're gamifying life, because you just it's kind of fun. Like, you're getting shit done that you want to do. It's like I said, just the simplest hack. Most things are quite simple, but I feel like
I don't know what is it? 200 lunges.
200 walking lunges, 150 push-ups, 50 pull-ups. The pull-ups have been the worst. Yeah, a day.
That's fucked, man.
That's wild.
Yeah, pull-ups would be pretty rough.
Yeah, they're getting easier.
I'd be going for kipping or something, just turn it into CrossFit pull-ups.
At first, I remember the first, and I was just like, oh, this is taking forever.
Yeah.
But now it's getting easy, so it's good.
How long does it take you?
Well, I was trying to split it during the day, but sometimes you leave it and you're like filthy about it.
Yeah.
That day, like that week at Edgeworth, so we have new studio openings, and something quite unique. We commit like HQ staff to the whole week. So we go there, we get around the team, we support them, we coach every session. You know, you're up, the alarm's on at 3:45. We're down at Merriweather at 8:45. You love what you do. So like, I know it's cliche, but it doesn't feel like work. That's the truth. Yeah. But it's just like, I talk about this all the time, new reference point. So like, once upon a time I was playing footy and I thought, fuck, this is so hard. And like, I'm training all the time. But was I really? I was like, had heaps of days off. Half days I was like cruising, or you're in a cafe or whatever. So it's like your new reference point. Once you go to a new level of work or a new standard, then that's hard work. So like, you just keep leveling up, and then that's all you know. So like, once you get to that point, where do I go from there? Like, what may be perceived as like, wow, that's crazy or really hard, you normalize it, because it becomes your new standard or reference point. So that's kind of where I'm at. So I don't really know where it goes from here, but we'll see.
1,000 lunges.
Yeah, I was going to say
1,500 push-ups.
I'm going to keep the little fitness ones in there because I like it.
Yeah.
But I want to add in some more stuff that's like more so for myself. I think I said like journaling and just finding that there's a concept of like the balance of extremes, which I love, because, you know, a lot of people will preach to me about, oh, you got to have balance. And I get it. I respect it. I appreciate it. So like, find some time for yourself, meditate, all of these things. But the balance of extremes is like, you can't be all one way where you're just sending it and you're just working really hard until the point where you kind of reach your capacity. But you also can't be a Zen Buddhist monk who's meditating all day. So like, it's balancing the two extremes, and that concept just really aligns with me, because I think that's where you need to be. That's the line you need to sit on. So I'm kind of just like living through that. And I appreciate people that say balance, but you know, reference point.
Yeah. I like it. That's a way better way to put it.
Yeah,
definitely.
Balance of the extremes.
That's it.
That's good.
I like that. I like to do a bit of the extremes, to go a bit too crazy sometimes.
Oh, mate. Yeah, you have an idea. You're just like, yep, I don't care. We're 150% doing it.
Yeah, I'm the same. And like, I think there's value in that.
Yeah.
I reckon you probably make a lot more mistakes, and like, you think, oh, I could have done this differently. But ultimately, you get shit done and you just go after stuff. So I think it's better. It's more positive than it is negative.
100%.
Yeah. You're going to pull me up on this one.
Bike ride?
Yeah, bike ride. Yeah. So I rode from Byron last year to Newcastle, and he's
that's solid.
Yeah, and he because he came, I'd finished his course, and he's like, I want you to do something that's going to challenge yourself that you've never done before, and something hard. And then I was like, fuck, I'll ride a bike. I'd never ridden before. I was like, I'll ride a bike. It won't be that bad. Then he's just like, right, what are you going to do? And I was like, I don't know, just a little ride. He's just like, no, Byron. And I was like, right. So trained for 6 months. Like, it was fucking intense. And 6 months of training every day, straight, just riding. And then did the ride in 3 days. And then like people were like, what are you going to do now? And I was like, I don't know. I was going to do like Nullarbor or something, but I've been thinking 100 kilometres for 100 days.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, 100
That's
kilometres,
cool.
100 days.
Our man Mike, who's just coming to HQ in the performance lane, he's an ex-footy player, but he's an absolute legend. He's just like very, very much so lives through these challenges and extremes and pushing himself. So he's got me on the hook to do an ultra marathon. He doesn't train from either. Like he does stupid shit. Like he'll do a triathlon, and he was the only one with he had a BMX bike, And he jumped on and just ripped the triathlon. Everyone's like, bro, what are you doing? And he's just like, who cares?
That's intense.
So I think I am leaning into like, there's part of me that's like, oh, the fitness guy, airlocker, you want to look good, you want to play the part, but there's also something that aligns with the whole mindset piece where I think I want to get around some just challenges and push things a little bit to the extreme.
Crazy what you can put your mind through. Like when I was on that ride, my knee blew up.
Yeah.
And I was at Coss Harbour and I was like, the only way to get through this is to fucking push through it. And like my mind was, I was like screaming as I was riding. I was in that much pain, and I was like spewing on the side of the road. He was like behind me. I'd pull over, pedal, spew, get back on, keep going. And like the mental push in it was just like, at the end of it, I was just like, I felt so good about myself. I was like, I just showed myself how far you can push your mind.
And I'd love that to be broken down by, like, I always think about this, like, talk to a psychologist in the space, because I just love it to be articulated the right way. When you go through, and whether it's for me personally, just like even on the basic end, an air locker session or something crazy like you're talking about, when you push yourself to that extreme, the feeling, I don't know, it's indescribable, but it's euphoric. It's like, it just, one of my biggest visions, missions, wants is to have people feel all of these great things that I've felt on the extreme end, whether it's culturally from my time at like the Storm or things I've experienced in football. Like, I think everyone should be privy to these, but it all comes down to, you know, what you don't know, you don't know. So, but if we can keep encouraging people to push themselves, get uncomfortable, these things aren't normal, and our brain and our whole being wants to avoid all these situations. But that's kind of where I'm at, through a little bit of education, through a little bit of awareness.
Yeah.
I think there's something cool in that, just getting people to be comfortable with what this is, and you both know like how much growth can come from that. So that's one of the big things I've, through this story, through this journey that I'm on, the platform that I have is to try and push that as much as possible.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Yeah. A lot of your growth, it does come from that discomfort, like going into that like ceiling, like that cave of being like, oh, I don't want to go in there, and then you go in there and you're like, oh, that's what I've been searching for years and years and years.
Do you think like this all kind of came from like all the stuff you went through with the footy and like getting banned for those 4 years? And do you reckon that growth?
Yes.
Was that a lot from that?
Yeah, definitely. Like I feel like the journey that I'm on now, like a week is a month feels like a year. So like who I was 3 months ago, I can reflect on and be like, wow, I'm so different now. Like it's crazy, and I'm super grateful for that. But if you look back in reflection on that moment, like the reality was I was always pretty clued on and had interests outside of football, but I was in the bubble. Like if you're in the footy bubble, it's no fault of theirs, but it's all encompassing. You're all in, and you don't really know too much else. You don't have an opportunity to educate, or there aren't really no mentors. Your mentors are a coach who's teaching you how to play rugby league and maybe supports you a little bit as a human, but you just don't have any awareness. You're not exposed to any things that are thought provoking or challenge you as a person. So like breaking out of that footy bubble, I was just exposed and forced to see life for what it is, and going overseas, and I met all these different people from all different walks of life, and it just opens your mind. Like traveling is the number one thing. Like as soon as you can, at whatever age you can, you need to travel and expose yourself to different people, different walks of life, because it's so powerful. But yeah, definitely that was it. I would have to say that I wouldn't take it back. It's a hard thing to say, because like, it would have been great to continue on with footy. All things were going well, but the person that I am now, the things that I've learned, I think are far more valuable than what another 50 games that I would have played. Like, what would I really have gotten out of it as a person? So yeah, definitely like changed my whole life for sure.
Yeah, that's sick. I like that. That's good. Do you reckon did you just retire just because you were just over all that bubble and everything, or just saw yourself doing this a bit more?
Yeah, I feel like I've always had, my mindset's always been like wondering what else could I do, and I've always had interest. Like when I was banned, I was exposed to business, and like that ticks a lot of boxes. It's, as you guys would know, it's competition, it's goals, it's failures and success, it's team. Like it ticks a lot of the boxes of things that are attractive to us. So getting involved with business was awesome, and I was very interested, and hit that point at 30, and kind of the realization was, it's not like, I was at the Storm, and my time at the Storm was amazing. Like, again, it's changed my whole perspective of my life, being exposed to that culture and who I am as a person. Like, I think it's set me up for everything I do now. And a lot of the lessons, a lot of the takeaways I'm implementing in my life and my interactions, whether it be with coaches or people. So it's massive. But, you know, it was I went there behind Sully and Addo Carr, so I wasn't going in there walking into anything. But I think it was just the experience that I wanted and that I got. But, yeah, it was at that crossroads, and I lived that dream, and that dream was very personal to me, selfish, not in a negative connotation, but selfishly something that I wanted. And now I've got the chance to live another dream, like partner in a growing franchise that is potentially going to go around the world and gives me a platform where I can impact people. So I feel like people don't get to live one dream in their life, let alone two. So dream one was about me. Dream two is like using the skill set, the attributes that I have to uplift other people. So that was really like the crossroads. And I've got a couple of mates who are involved. We've got a master franchise in America as well. And with the boys, it was just like, what are we going to do? Let's do something. They were in the fitness space. We were all born out of F45 in that group training space. And it was like, what are we going to do? Let's do something. And then here we are. This is where it's ended up. So it was kind of like, I have a newfound respect for that transition because, as you know, look, just being fully realistic and honest, boys transition out of footy and it's like they got no purpose, no passion, little education. They get involved in a job that they don't really want to do, and then it's pretty cliche. It's like social working, footy coaching, you know, something in that circle that lives up to the persona of who they are. So that's the big gap. So for me to transition into like something that I love with big passion, big purpose, and a massive outcome at the end, like I don't like saying lucky, but I'm very grateful.
Well, it's not that you've built that luck.
No,
people like
that's why I don't like luck. Like,
I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't think
you make your own.
Yeah, I don't think luck is a thing. I think, like you said, you make it 100%.
Yeah, it's like I know a few people, like a mate of mine, he's got like to set himself up really good. And I always hear people say, "Oh, he's so lucky," and I'm like, "No, he's just worked his ass off to get to where he is."
And you know, it's that thing that you see, like someone will comment on that at where he is now and say, "Oh, you're so lucky." They only see that end destination. Like, I bet you went through a heap of shit to get to that point.
Yeah, exactly.
100%. Even some people look at us and they're like, "Oh, you know, it would be nice to be able to, you know, come film a podcast and go to your office and do work." I'm like, "Yeah, but you haven't really seen the past 4 years where it's been like, fuck, like I've got this paycheck, I've only got this amount of money coming in, like fucking hell, like stressing about this and bills and finances." Like, yeah, you see what you see on social media. You don't get to see what's on the back end of, you know, the struggles at home trying to feed 2 kids and, oh, fuck, my son's got no nappies this week. It might have to be a couple of butt tickets in his cheeks for a couple of days. Like, so, yeah.
It's so true. And I think something beautiful around my perspective's definitely changed. Don't get me wrong. The game is, like, I don't make the rules. Money makes the world go around, so I need to play the game as well. But the value of money is completely changed to me. Like, there's no thing that I want. A financial freedom is something that would be nice, that concept, which is like getting to a point. But even this, like, I reflect on this the other day, like, what I'm about to say is also a story that I'm living through that then will be the framework for my life. So like I feel like I'm very aware of the things I say as well. But that financial freedom for me is like, there's nothing I want to buy. There's nothing I really want to do, but I just kind of want to live, go where I want to go, do what I want to do, experience shit without really checking my bank account. That would be a cool goal. Yeah. So like that as an outcome is a nice little thing to chase, but you just can't let it be the be all and end all of what you're fixated on, because like it will happen if you do all of this shit, it will happen, you know.
100%.
Yeah, it'll be a byproduct of your work.
And but to be completely honest, like, and I love these conversations, but like I don't have that much money. Like, I've made some poor decisions and sacrifices, but knowing I've just got this. These are my own abilities and my own perspective. No one really has to believe it, but I do. I've got this just belief in, like, when I just know and I'm going after something, I've seen it, I believe it's going to happen. So like there's not a lot that can bother me or bring me down on the journey to that destination. So like, yeah, I've made some poor decisions. I think I wasn't like, it's not like I made a heap of money, but if you look at the outside in, Let's go through the journey. Like, played footy in the NRL, went overseas, had all these businesses, come back doing X and Y. But it's like, I don't really have too much to show for that, to be honest. Even the last business with you know, I had in group training, like I pretty much had to abandon that to chase this dream. And I've been to the point where like, I reckon 3 or 4 times, we're talking like dollars, under hand figure dollars in your account. Just be like, fuck, it's a little bit stressful, but you just know.
Yeah.
And I think I've explained this the other day. This hasn't happened once, 3 times, 5 times, where like the lowest point of my life has been followed by the best thing. Unexplainable, kind of, but like once that's happened enough times, you kind of have this resilience where you're like, fuck, here we go again, but I know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So you don't really have too many fears.
Yeah.
Because, you know?
Yeah, well, like doing these courses, he's like teaches you that too. Like
Yeah.
I've been through so many times where I was just like at my lowest point, and then I've just come out on top again. And then like now when I do go through things, I'm just like, it's all good. Like it's going to be shit for now, but I always know something's going to build up from it, because that's where you get your growth is from, when you're going through something pretty bad. You
100%.
build up on it.
And what you just said, like, if you truly believe that and understand it, don't get me wrong, when something shit happens, it's still shit.
Yeah.
So, like,
It's like
there's an
shit.
emotion and there's like, oh, this sucks, it's disheartening or it's stressful. But if you accept, if you truly believe, and it only has to make sense to you.
Yeah.
Most of the things I tell myself as a coping mechanism, maybe someone would say that's wrong or right, but whatever happens to me, I'm flipping a story in my head to find a positive thing that I can then focus on. Again, it only has to make sense to me, and then I'm moving on. Like that's how I'm dealing with shit. So like that, once you truly believe what you just said wholeheartedly, and you know, then I feel like that is freedom.
Yeah.
Truly is freedom.
Yeah, that's the biggest piece. It's like becoming a master of those cycles that happen, like you said. All right, this is happening again, but I know that from last time when I went through this is what happened. So cool, bring it on. I know it's about to be on the other side, so I've got to go through these clouds to
Make sure you be a
see
lot more
rainbow.
self-aware.
Oh yeah, and
well.
awareness is
Isn't
it
huge?
everything?
Until you come, like I wasn't aware of all this until like a year ago, and like I went through 29 years of just like going, what the fuck am I gonna, like, what's going on? And like the last year, it's just like crazy. Like everything's just changed around, and when you do go through, if you start to like analyze it all, and you're just like, yep, okay, it's all good. Accept what's happened and move on. Yeah.
And that concept of like ignorance is bliss. Like if you don't know any better, maybe some of these things can't affect you.
Yeah.
So with awareness, it comes great power and responsibility, because like, what are you going to do with it? But if there's one thing you should chase in life, it's just awareness. Like just having that understanding ability and being able to reflect on things. Like again, taking ownership of that is control, is power, because that goes down to like your relationship with failure. Let's be honest, we're always going to make mistakes. There's always going to be adversity, and we're always going to fuck things up. But like, again, what's your relationship with that? Do you look at those things as problems or opportunities or possibilities? So it's like every time those things happen, I just know that, or even in that moment, I'm like, fuck, I still know that the outcome is going to be, I'm going to learn something, my greatest lessons realistically. So if I just look at those things for what they are, be very realistic, I feel like that's important. Look at it, be realistic, reflect on it. Cool. All right, what's the action I need to do? What do I need to learn? Implement it. Bang, leveled up again. And that cycle means that you have no fear to take risks, lean into challenges, and just chase opportunities, because you are fearless. But there's nothing external about that. That's an acceptance in my mind, a story that I've made up that makes sense to me. So it works.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
That's all it is.
That's all that fucking matters. That's what awareness is, though, right? Like, what exactly all that you just said, that's awareness. It's just like a switch, this big switch that you just go, boom. A lot of responsibility, like you said, but a lot of power that comes with it as well. Like, you know, yeah, exactly right. Like, before you do become self-aware, you still go through the same challenges, but you have a completely different mindset and a completely different look on it, I guess. It's more of like an escapism, I would say. It's like you want to escape what's going on, escape the pain, escape, these difficult challenges.
It's like that. What's that quote you had? The buffalo quote?
Oh, me fucking buffalo quotes.
Yeah, tell me the buffalo quote.
That's a good one, bro. It's like to go through shit, like just be a buffalo.
So good. I heard it on do you know Alpha Blake's podcast?
No.
Fuck, that's a
fucking
good
good.
laugh.
Yeah.
It's just a couple of miners just got on there and just talk shit, and it's so good.
And the people that call in, bro, fucking hell. Anyway, they have like this little segment in each podcast where it's like motivation, little pieces from like a TikTok or an Instagram post or whatever. And they had this guy come on, and he was just like, there's two types of people in this world. There's cows and there's buffaloes. And I was like, oh, okay, all right, shots fired. And he's like, when it comes to cows will see a storm coming towards them, and they'll be like, oh no, fuck that, I'm running. and they run away from the storm. Even though deep down that they know that that storm's going to catch them and they can't run away. It's going to get them eventually. They're like, I'm just going to delay this and run away from it. And I don't want to experience it. But eventually the storm gets them and they have to experience the pain, i.e. getting wet, you know, lightning, all of that type of stuff. The buffalo, on the other hand, they see a thunderstorm coming and they see it and they run towards it because they want the thunderstorm. They want the pain. They want to be experiencing it quicker. They don't want to run away. They want it to be over and done with. So they run towards thunderstorms. And I was like, fuck, that's actually really good. Like people run away from it, or people will actually look at it and be like, all right, bring it on. Let's go. So
I love that.
Yeah, it's good.
And I love those concepts. Like I think about this shit a lot because I'm trying to articulate these things and have an impact on people with the goal and vision of having everyone think like, have these conversations, think the way we do, attack life the way we do. But it's like often some of the things that I do, maybe subconsciously, I do find hard to make them relatable. So I love these conversations where it's like, because it just comes down to choices for me. You know, if you look at that like red pill, blue pill concept, I know it's used in another sense, like in the Matrix or whatever, but for me, it's like any situation, any problem, any adversity you're faced with, it really just does come down to a choice. Like, are you going to let it control you, consume you, depress you, bring you down? Or are you going to find a way, find the opportunity, find the possibility, find a positive aspect to it and move on? And when it literally, everything just comes down to that choice. So if it is that 50-50 choice, which one are you going to fucking make?
Yeah.
Like when you put it down to just that, it's like, well, okay, well, obviously I'm going to, but that's not the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not always the case. So I think to your point, even with the Buffalo story, like just having that control and that understanding, that is the power. And like knowledge is power too. I think we talk about awareness, but know some shit, learn some shit, open your mind up, have conversations. Like the things you learn, the things you take away, often things we know, but someone else says it. And it's like, oh, that lands. Maybe it's in the form of a story, but so like you gotta lean in and open yourself up to these sort of things. Like that's the journey everyone's got to be on.
A lot of people are too afraid to do that, to lean into something. Like the course that I'm running now at the moment, the boys are like struggling to lean into it. And
why do you find that? What's the common like theme around?
As men, it's just like a vulnerability thing. Like they just don't want to open themselves. They don't want us to be seen as this softer person kind of thing. And like one of the guys is my brother-in-law, and he's just like a tough man. And I'm starting to crack him now, and he's just like I got him to start journaling last night, and he's like fully into it. And he's just like, oh, I didn't know this was so easy. And I was like, that's all it is. Just right, whatever's going on in your mind. But I think the biggest thing for men is just like to be vulnerable. They just don't want to let those walls down, and until you do, that's like when all the real magic in yourself happens.
And we're trying to rewire a whole generation and history of the wrong perception of what a man is, because like real men are vulnerable. You know what I mean? Real men are not strong because they're big and they're loud and they're angry. Real men, like strong men, are calm, in control. They are willing to be vulnerable. They are willing to have hard conversations, show their emotions. Like that to me, like I don't know whether it's an age thing and a maturity thing, but if we can give back the power to what a man truly is, humility, all the rest of these things, wouldn't that be game changer?
I think it's like slowly starting. Like I said, at the start of this year, I said 2023 is going to be a year of like everyone will like work on themselves. And like every time I see someone on social media or talk to someone else, they're like, yeah, I'm just concentrating on doing me. And like even like starting to hear more from men as well.
Yeah, it's not being normalised. It's becoming popular, and that's all. That's all we want. That's the power of social media. That's the power of, and that's why we're leaning into it. I'm sure. Yes, it has a positive effect on our life, but really, you know that if you do it, maybe some other person sees that and feels like they can do it, and it's just a ripple effect.
Oh yeah,
100%.
Good old ripple effect. Yeah,
good
like
one.
it's like remember the very first time we posted a video of you.
Yeah,
and like. I like sent him the video. It was fucking like very intimate, you know, video. Like him, like very first time doing a big piece of a breathwork journey, like tears coming down his face, like you know, me holding him and stuff like that. And I sent it to him. I was like, "Bro, you good for this to be posted?" And like, I'm pretty sure you sent back and you're like, "Oh, I'll have a think about it." And then like probably a few hours later, you're like, "No, we're good. Like, post it." Posted it. Like how many people come out the woodworks? How many people message? Like
crazy.
That's all it takes. Is seeing someone that you've had in a light of being like, you know, yourself of like, oh, he's a tough dude, you know, plays footy, wears his heart on his sleeve, sticks up for himself, you know, is this tough guy. And all of a sudden he's doing a breathwork session like that. Like, oh, fuck, if he can do it, maybe I could go experience that. Maybe if Tahi can do it, maybe I can go experience a breathwork or meditation or, you know.
And I think that's why it's like always good posting the stories of like all the little things. Like sometimes when I'm on journal, I'll just take a quick little photo and it's like some guy might seem like, oh, he's doing that. It's all right. It must be all right to do.
So good.
And like even one of my best mates, he messaged me the other night and he's like, you got a meditation I can do? And I just sent him one that I made and I just said, do this. And I saw him this morning at the Anzac and he's just like, that was good. And I was just like, keep doing it. He's just like, yeah, we'll be.
So good.
Like, yes.
And you know, like that, again, that ripple effect theory, like he's going to tell someone, he's going to impact someone else. And that's the game we want to play.
Yeah.
Because like, I think about that situation and having an impact, but I feel like once upon a time, my powers were used for good, but for myself. So like, and my ego, again, ego's not to be taken negatively. We all have ego. It's that constant battle between who we really are and who we're perceived to be and who we want to be, how we want to be perceived. So it's just this constant battle. And the more we can stay here, true to ourselves, that authenticity, that's where we're going to shine. And we feel comfortable there. We feel real. We feel like that's where we're supposed to be. But I feel like I've always been quite aware. The way I describe it is, if I could go back and do one thing, this would be my dream. Now, I wasn't a bully at school, but I definitely was a class clown. So I would have an expense at every, you know, I was that kid with the personality and blah, blah, blah. If I could go back to school and like, because I had this presence and big personality and like, you know, never let anyone pick on this kid or that sort of like, fuck, that'd be fucking, how fun would that be? Oh, that'd be so good. That would be my dream. Because in a school setting, it's like in abundance, all of those interactions. So to use that, I always think about that. But now that's the journey I'm on. Like I know that I have a bigger presence and a personality. So like I know that, for instance, in our group training platform, like you get big, small, introverted, extroverted, all different ages, and they come in, they're all shitting themselves, of course, because it's like a new environment, new people and altitude. So they think they can't breathe. And they come in and you can greet them like straight away. I know another power of mine is the way I look is not really a reflection of who I am. Before I smile, before I open my mouth. So if I come at you, lunge at you, hug you, greet you by name, treat you like a rock star, it's like straight away I can break down walls a lot faster than others because of how I'm perceived and who I am.
There's one person that speaks very highly of you, and it's Tara from Bennett's Green.
Yeah, she's a legend.
She loves you, bro. She's just like, she's always there.
She's the best. And I just love, I feel like you guys would probably be at the same point. Again, maybe it's an age thing, maybe it's an experience thing, but I'm just getting to the point where, although I interact with a lot of people and may have a lot of friends, but really I don't have too many, you become very like ruthless with your energy and your environment and who you hang around. And I just want to be around good people. And when I'm around good people, I love it. I'm so grateful for it. Like she's just got a big heart, good person. And you just want to be around those people. And I want to try and foster those people. I know it's a gym and it's a hard concept to understand, but if you look at the journey from going in, feeling accepted, pushed to a little bit of uncomfortable, we know what good shit happens there, then you're around a community and an environment that lifts you up. That product of your environment theory and concept is a real thing that people understand. So if you're around that all the time, you're making good choices, a healthier lifestyle, and these kind of interactions. You know, Bennett's Green that you talk about, for example, there's a guy called Kinner there. Head coach. He's an absolute legend. Yeah, and his history is like, you know, he's been to jail, he's changed his life. Like these sort of people, like he's the same. He's on the same. You understand his presence and what he's able to do. Unique to him because your expectations of him are X, and he gives you Y, and it completely breaks down the wall and allows you to feel so safe, to be so vulnerable. And like, this is the opportunity that I have in abundance with the platform, going to all these studios, meeting 200 new people, and it's the fucking best.
Yeah. That's one of the biggest feedbacks we get as well. Like at our women's events, like I don't know if you've seen any of the footage and stuff, but like we take women through all of these different things, and probably the same as you, people look at both of us being like, how are these guys going to take women through a retreat? Like, what do they know about women stuff, right? And then they come experience it, and we take them through like a goddess visualization, and they come out of it and they're like, I have never, ever been held in a space by a man, especially men that are covered in, you know, tattoos and are bigger guys, like that. That was insane. And like, yeah, it's like breaking down those barriers. And once again, it's like, that's where that safety comes from. They're like, oh, in the past, maybe I had an experience with a man that looked like you guys that wasn't the same as what I just experienced. Maybe all men aren't like that. Maybe some men are, you know, open to that.
I had one of the girls at the reconnection come up to me and she's like, when I first come in here, I had a perception of you. And she's like, you changed it big time. She's like, the second you opened your mouth and you started talking, and she's like, I just thought you were just going to be like, the look of you. She's like, I thought you were just going to be this big ego, like, which I am still in my ego a fair bit, but not in a rude way.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was just like, the way, like the look of you, like you just have your tattoos and you just don't look like a guy who's like really in touch with his emotions and stuff. And then when she started talking and taking us through things, she's like, the whole thing just changed. And I was just like, that's good. That's
and there is power in that, because it does have a bigger impact. Whereas if the perception of you was the opposite, and then you coupled that with what you just said, it wouldn't have as bigger impact. No. So that's what I love about it. And again, just like changing the perception of people, the perspective of people. It's like it's just such a
good feeling.
It's so good. It's the best.
Yeah.
It's about, and like, you know, I get to the point where you try and manage the things because I think some of the things I feel, some of the things I'm doing, then that's not fully relatable with people. Like I'm on Instagram, and like the reality is I don't want to go to sleep and I want to wake up as fast as possible because I'm loving what I do. Yeah. But like that ain't people's reality.
No.
You know what I mean? So for them to relate to it, it's like, yeah, it's great that you're doing it, but if you can find, I'm trying to just continue to find a way to couple that with being very vulnerable. So it's like, hey, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, but I've worked to get to this point where I'm passionate, do something I love, and this is my why and my purpose. You can do that too. It doesn't have to be what I'm doing or relative to what I'm doing, but you have that opportunity. So
I think it's a good thing for us too, is like not to always, so I've picked up on to like not always show the good things, like sometimes show the things that you're all vocal, the stuff that you do go through, so people also relate to that. Because every time I put up something real good, and they're like, people like, they always like, oh, does anything ever bad go wrong for you? And I'm like, yeah, it does. Let me show you.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, I think it's a good life with our platforms that we do have now. It's starting to build up. It's like to also show those badder sides that aren't always sunshines and rainbows. It's
100%.
Sometimes pretty shit.
100%. Yeah. And again, there's power in, if someone does perceive that your life is amazing and you do show the reality of it, or you do show the setbacks and the failures, it just lands. It's much more impactful. So,
and I think that's too with like the men, it's that do reach out to us. It's like they do see us with like the tattoos and like being in the mining, growing up and growing up in some rough areas. Like that's where they get like attracted to us, and then once they start seeing how we are, they're like, fuck, I can do that too. Like I've been up in the mines working, like doing things like paint me nails. Like, people are like, you paint your nails? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, why? And I was like, why not? And it's like, okay, true. It's just like,
and again, like I think the same way as you in many respects. Like I know that if I do something, like it could be even like basic right now, jewelry or whatever, or painting your nails. I do want to do that, but it's like I'm doing it because I want to, but also strategically, I'm thinking like I'm doing this because people think you can't. Or people think you shouldn't. So I want to kind of use this as another tool to break through that barrier.
No.
I
was at Air like a Qatar, and these two girls come up to me and they're like, I like your nails. And I was like, oh, thanks. And I just kind of walked away and they're like, it's a good way to break, like, to make people come and talk to you. And I was like, the reason I do it was for that. And then another one was like, I used to get like social anxiety. And like, what are they looking at? And like, if now they've just got nails, so they're just like, if they're looking at something, it's probably that.
Hey, if it makes sense to you, bro,
that's exactly right.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. That's cool.
No,
I'm gonna have to do it now. I like it.
Come with me, brother. I had a mate a guy come and do the reconnection with us, and he like got me number and stuff. Then he messaged me 2 days later, and he's like sent me a photo of his nails. And he's like, thanks for like inspiring me to go do it. And I was like, fuck yeah. I was like, that's sick.
So good.
I was with my best mate, he was like a manly man. I told him, he's like, that's the gayest thing I've ever heard. I was like, whatever, brother.
And it's just those little, again, just using those little things, those little social interactions, like whatever, if that's going to make an impact and land with people, then just do it. It works, you know?
Yeah.
It's good.
100%.
Do you get it, Bart?
Oh, I'm sure. Password, mate.
So my password to every single thing
is the same.
You know.
I signed out of his.
If you ever let that password go, which is a very simple password, my whole fucking bank account's gone.
Last night he goes to me. I signed out of his Spotify, He's like, you fucking signed me Spotify. I don't know the password. I was like, try this. He's like, yeah, it worked. And I was like, it's the same password for everything else, bro. Can't imagine it being any different.
Yeah, I need to get onto that.
So just a couple of things I've got.
Yeah, brother.
Was this probably your biggest accomplishment? Like like opening and all that? Or was it be like...
I thought you were talking about being on this podcast. And
Oh, yeah, I am actually.
I was like, holy fuck.
What's better? I saw
top three, right?
I saw the blokes podcast.
Mate, in some respects, yes, but it's so far from what I'm going to accomplish. But the journey that I'm on and the things that it's instigating in terms of my own personal growth and development and understanding and awareness, like, yeah, this is it. Like, if I can give you an example, and I feel like I wanted to tell you this after, Ellie spoke about ayahuasca and that, but there was something that I did that was, probably not talked about, but I've always known, and I kind of, now reflection, it's a very weird thing to say because I've played footy since I was 4 years old, but there's so many things that have happened, and you talk about like signs in the fucking universe, so many things that have happened that have been like, have they been signs to say like, you are on the wrong path, brother? Like, I've had some great moments from football, don't get me wrong, like I've loved it, but I've also had some adversities, serious adversities, like, but then I think where I am right now, without that story, without those experiences, would I be able to do what I'm doing? Like, I need that experience and story. I need to be able to relate to people.
Yeah.
So, like, maybe that did happen for a reason, and you kind of just have to accept that everything
like
does.
If you change it to like a lot of, instead of being like, why the fuck this happened to me? It's like, obviously that's happened for a reason because it's look where you are now. It's like it's all that hard stuff you've been through. It's like build up to this.
Exactly right. So. But on that journey, like, I always knew a few things deep down inside myself, and like I knew that why have I always been so drawn to helping other people, and like in a team setting, like culture and that environment is something that I love, and I've always been that supportive person. But I've always known, going back to that concept of like being aware of my personality and presence, I've always known that my greatest impact or gift or skill is to be able to impact other people. Now, if you go through the journey, like 2 knee recos, 2 shoulder recos, suspended for 4 years, you're still not fucking getting it. You still haven't taken the sign. You still want to come back and play footy. But I remember a couple of things happened that I remember. I remember when I went to America one year on a holiday after I did my ACL. I was at the Storm. That was ridiculous. You come back 3 weeks in, like I was flying too. I trained every day for like 8 months and then tore my ACL. You wouldn't wish that upon your worst enemy. Well, I returned 3 weeks into preseason. I tore. I was like, this is bullshit. Like, bro,
another sign.
You couldn't ride it. And I went away, and we were at the markets, and I went to this. It's something silly, but it's still interesting. I went to this like angel card reading. She sat down, so confident, this woman too, like just so sure of what she was doing. Anyway, she's kind of like had this shocked look on her face. Goes through, and she's like, "What do you do?" First and foremost, which was funny, I was with my ex-girlfriend. She's overseas now, so she won't hear this. I was with my ex-girlfriend. It's like, she's like, is that your partner? Like, with this weird look on her face. I was like, no, here we go. And she was already, I feel like she was shitting herself to wonder what this person's going to say. She actually told me not to do it. She goes, oh, you shouldn't be together. Like, you guys are meant to be friends and blah, blah. I was just like, oh, wow. Like, that was awkward on a holiday. So I was like, okay, got over that. Then she's like, she said to me, you've recently hurt yourself, been injured, and I didn't have anything on my body. Like, I was completely normal. I was like, yeah. She's like, what do you do for a living? I was like, oh, I play footy, blah, blah, blah. She's like, you're not supposed to be doing that. Like, that is not your calling, blah, blah. And it wasn't like she went into detail or told me my life story, but I was like, that was really weird in reflection. Yeah. And I kind of just think I've always known that I think I had to do it. I posted this video the other day. I don't know if you've seen it, or have you seen the one I posted? What's his name? The director? He was on the Rogan podcast. Okay, I'm going to have to say some random facts so you understand who I'm talking about.
I'm trying to think.
He's done the movie Snatch. He dated Madonna. Guy Ritchie. There we go. Sorry.
Yes.
Charades. He does this mad video. I don't know if we chatted about it.
I think we may have actually.
And it's like the concept of, like, he explains, because his story, he says everything's the hero's journey. Yeah. Every story, every narrative is based on the struggle to find yourself. Yeah. And he talks about the journey of the prodigal son, which the prodigal son is, the son goes away, the other son stays there. he goes away and prostitutes himself and does all this crazy shit and comes back and is accepted. But the kind of conclusion that he makes is, and the way I interpret it is like, you've got to experience everything to come back to yourself and know who you are. So like, you really have to go through some shit to end up knowing some shit. You know what I mean? So like, I feel like going through all these experiences, all these different things, making some poor decisions, doing some things that don't align with you, end you up in the situation where you actually know who you are and what you want. But if you don't go through that, I don't know if you ever can come to that conclusion yourself.
Yeah.
So coming full circle, that was like, I knew that I always knew this is really who I am. I'm supposed to be using myself as a vehicle to impact other people.
Yeah.
And now this leads me to this other story. In maybe the start of 2022, I went to Byron with my mate, and for the first time we did DMT. But it was the extreme version, which is 5-MeO, which is off the Saharan toad. So it was like we did a kind of retreat style version. It was, it was fucking wild. Like, if I showed the video one day, people would be mind blown. But everyone's heard about it, everyone understands it, and I'm very open to, I've done lots of stuff. I'm just very open to everything, hypnotherapy, anything that's going to like push the boundaries, a little bit of uncomfortable, but explore and understand things. So anyway, I did this, right? We went through this, we set some intentions, did all the stuff in the morning, got to the point where we did it. And how it works is, because this is very different. I've done a normal sort of DMT style ritual and experience, and it's sort of, and I'm sure you guys have consumed information about this or seen Rogan explain it and that, and it like hits you a couple of minutes, it's over, and it's like, wow. But this is like, this shoots you out into the universe. So you got all the beds laid out. It was with a close friend and my best mate Joey. You got all the beds laid out because you end up doing shit and you sort of don't know. Anyway, did it. It took a couple of times for your ego to sort of let go, and then boom, just like shot me out of a cannon, and I was like in another planet. And I've obviously watched the video, and I was just sort of like screaming like, ah, and it felt like your chest ripped open, and it was just like a beam of energy coming out of it. Anyway, I stopped after about 3 minutes, and I was just talking for like a minute. Obviously, I don't remember, but watching back, and I was like, this is what I said: the journey that I'm on, I'm a vessel for a higher purpose, and obviously my intention was ego based, but it was just the kick off the cliff that I needed to be like, sweet, I accept it. It's not about me. There'll always be an element of it's about me, of course, but it's like, I know what I'm supposed to do, what I'm capable of, what my power is. And to lean into that, to have something to push me further into that in parallel to the journey that I'm already on was just fucking epic. Like, it was the best thing ever. So such an amazing experience. And I do think it really did change my perspective and life in some respects. But ultimately, it just returned me back to who I really am. And ever since then, I've just been really diving into that. Like, there's something when you experience that, being authentically just really who you are, it feels good. Yeah. And you want to do it more. So you become very hyper aware of everything you say, everything you do. And we talked about balance of extremes. Like, I may not meditate that much, but I think I'm meditating all the time. Like, I'm super reflective. I could say something and I'm already thinking about it. I could interact with someone and I'm thinking about, why did I react that way? What did that person say on the fly? So just getting to that point, you're not perfect, but getting to that point where you're constantly willing to have an open mind, chase more information, express yourself ruthlessly, unapologetically, and be authentic, and then just reflect on all of your interactions. That cycle, you're only going one way, and it's a good way. So that was a really cool experience that triggered like such a breakthrough moment in probably who I am and what I'm doing now.
That's sick.
I think we need to do this, bro. I think we need to do ayahuasca or all this.
Yeah, well, I'm going to that place. Ellie is going at the end of the year. Now that sounds off its head.
Yeah, man. When she told her story, bro, holy fuck.
Her jaws are just like,
I was like,
it's like, it's hard to fathom. I'll be honest. Because something like that, what I just said, that's 2 minutes.
Yeah.
This is,
I think she said 4 days or something.
Yeah, 4 days. Yeah. 9 to 12 hours every day. It's like, and you know, you're purging, so you're vomiting, you're shitting, you're crying. It's like, fuck. And she's articulated it, obviously, but I don't think it does it justice because that's a lot of time. Like, what were you seeing? What were you thinking? What were you feeling? Like,
that's my biggest thing. Is like, how can you go through, you know, like say 48 hours worth of a journey like that, and like, what did you see? What did you feel? What was your body doing? What was your mind doing? Were you seeing stuff? Were you,
And those medicines are just, they tap into potential that isn't possible in this physical realm or body. So like, it is wild what you're going to see and what you're going to envision, but it's kind of like, you just think like, where is it going to take me? Because you're not in control. This is subconscious.
Have you
you know?
Have you done much breath work, like stuff?
Yeah, I have done a bit of breath work, and it's like, again, this is something that I would like to implement more.
Yeah,
but yeah, definitely very, very powerful.
Because if you got a little bit of time, we might be able to run you through this little powerful one that we do, and it's see if that has anything to do. It makes you feel like you're back on DMT again.
Yeah. Well, I remember I was reflecting. I think about probably 4 years ago, I did 30-minute guided breath work with Wim Hof.
Yep.
When he first came out.
Yeah.
And it was intense. Like Wim Hof breathing is like, it's uncomfortable. Like you get to the point where like, you want to stop. It's uncomfortable. But you have a pretty crazy experience. You definitely have to describe it as being on a high.
Yeah.
And for 30 minutes it's pretty cool, like his voice guiding you through the whole thing, and like it was just epic. You go through a wave of emotions, and then even to the point, obviously his breathwork technique has some of its own unique capabilities, but you get to the end and it was like I held my breath for 3 minutes, then did 60 push-ups, then held my breath for another 2 minutes, and it was just, and then you stand up and you're dancing with the bro and doing the ice fast and that. But it was that was a very cool experience.
That's sick. I like that.
Yeah.
I did this little breath work on the weekend, and like at the end she makes you hold your breath, and I thought it was like 30 seconds, and she's like, no, it got longer and longer every time, and I was like, you joking? She's like, you went from 1 minute up to 3 minutes, and I was like, you fucking kidding? I was just like, I honestly thought it was 30 seconds each time, and I was like, why don't we hold out the breath longer? I feel like I can go a lot longer. And she's just like, did you breathe once? And I was like, no, because I felt like it was literally 30 seconds.
It's crazy.
It's so good.
And one of the other, like in terms of breath work, I just think about things like that. I watched this other clip. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Have you seen that YouTube clip, Sanguru and Mike Tyson? Oh, bro, epic clip. You got to watch this. Okay. If you haven't watched both of those clips, I love that. It's like when you haven't watched a movie and someone tells you, like, fuck, I get jealous. But this, you might have seen him, Indian lad, obviously. Looks like a guru. Saying guru, but the way he breaks shit down and explains stuff, and he just even talks like, we spend so much time doing this and that and learning all this, but we don't spend any time on this machine, like learning how to operate this. It's crazy when you think about it like that, like even to the breath, like something that we do all day, every day, but you've never thought to, how am I breathing? How should I breathe? What's it like? It's wild.
I said, like, I did a little breath work with my mate the other day, and he's like, for 30 years, I thought I knew how to breathe. He's like, you've done this thing with me for like 15 minutes, and it's like changed my whole way I want to breathe. And I was like, he goes, why? I don't understand why we aren't taught this. Like, it's something that
crazy. I want to do next. We'll go to an air locker session, and something we're trying to bring in is, look, the reality of there's two parts to this. The reality of how we train at air locker, it's a bit more commercial, but to tap into the true capabilities of altitude training. So what happens, right? Right now we're at 21% oxygen. If we were to put the reader on, the pulse oximeter, it would show your blood sats, which is the oxygen level in your blood. And it would be between 96 and 99%. It will not change. We could do whatever you want here. 1,000 burpees, it won't change. But when you go into the room, instantly that drops and your heart rate increases. So like, I'm talking about this because it's like very front of mind, but like a sauna or an ice bath, these are very popular modalities. Everyone thinks straight away about recovery. It's not about recovery at all. No. It's an additional stress response that your body has to react to. And in reacting, it will do a number of things, beneficial things. It will increase hormones, all of these great things. But the most powerful thing is you being able to control your state when in this additional stress environment.
Well, that's why we do our ice baths. Like, people think it's like a recovery thing, but the reason we do it is like when you're stressed or going through anxiety, your heart rate is up. But if you were to control your breath, even though you're still in that problem, it's the same as the ice bath. You're still in that ice bath, but you've now controlled your breath and you've made it easier. The problem's still there, but now you can focus on it a lot easier. And that's why we do the ice baths. And like people just think, oh, they always like gyms would like doing it at gyms. They're like, oh, do it after the gym. It's like a recovery thing. I was like, it's not a recovery.
It's not
thing,
what
man.
it's about. No.
Yeah.
Now, this same concept is a very powerful link with training at altitude because it is a stress response. When I lower the oxygen in your blood, of course, fight or flight, your body wants to react. Now, this isn't going to be something people think about. Maybe when people do ice baths without your education and you giving the purpose, they won't think about it either.
Yeah.
But when you come into a session like that and your body is under stress, especially when you increase your effort intensity and that blood saturation level goes down, how are you going to react? And if you can control your breathing, control your state multiple times over the course of a week, you can't tell me that this will not have an effect on your ability to cope and handle stress in your day-to-day life.
Yeah.
So this is a big component. Now, the ice bath is great bang for your buck for what we just said, and it also has some benefits. And unlike a sauna, you actually finish on a high in an ice bath.
Yeah.
Very similar to when training in altitude, with an increase in more of those adrenal hormones, or norepinephrine, epinephrine. So you get that high. But you don't train in an ice bath.
Yeah.
You can train in this environment. So there's a lot of good things going on. But what we're trying to, you want to get people to breathe through their nose.
Yeah, that's
It's a tough concept.
So I've been like for the last year and a half, I've been focused on just breathing. Like, so I do CrossFit, and I've only just been focusing on just all nasal breathing
Yeah, the whole time.
the whole time. Yeah, so it's taken me a good 8 months to be able to pretty much master it.
Wow, that's
And
so cool.
people ask me how'd you do it, and I was like, when you would warm up, all I'll do is breathe in the nose, and once it got hard, it'd be like.
Yes, inhalation through the nose, exhale through the mouth.
Yeah, then now it's just like all nasal breathing. And then like when I'm like after, say like when I was used to do CrossFit, I used to be like always bent over like sucking in the oxygen. And now like people would like look at me and I would be standing there with my eyes closed. Like say if we're doing like an EMOM and I finish it in like 2 minutes and there's 3 minutes left, I'll just stand there with my eyes closed and just.
Best.
And people look at me and they're like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Just let me be."
Yeah.
Best.
Yeah.
And like, right, if you don't get it, fucking figure it out. But if you don't think that's having an effect
It
on
doesn't.
you
Yeah.
and your ability to cope with anything in life,
It's
a
crazy
game
how much
changer.
like from training we've just breathing normal to now doing nasal, like how much more energy I have, like how much better I feel, like I can get through a workout so much easier. And like even like the young guys that like who are heaps good, I'd like keep up with them and they'll be like yeah, I don't understand how you're doing. I was like, just breathing, man. Just literally just breathe through it.
100%. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
And it's something we do. And the other reason why it's important, because like, right, and you did the session the other day.
Yeah.
But when you rip a high intensity effort, the problem is the most powerful thing we can do is train in something called a hypoxic state, unique to our environment. Now, yeah, it might not be sexy yet, but like that's where you're going to get the benefits. But if you rip a high intensity effort and that's all you know and do, what are you going to do after you do that? Of course, what happens then? You're consuming a heap of oxygen. So you bounce straight back up. So it's kind of like counterproductive.
Yeah.
So really get in there. You don't need the same load and intensity, which is great because physiologically, internally, it's been harder, but control your breath, control your state.
Yeah.
And I'm big on this, like, yes, it's great that you can burn more calories and lose fat. Yes, it's great that you can get stronger and increase hypertrophy and lean muscle mass. But what else is cool is like we finish every workout with a guided mindset and meditation.
Yeah, that's so good,
and like
man.
control your breath.
Yeah.
Make some tough choices.
Yeah.
Get uncomfortable. Build some resilience. Like that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's what we're working on something at the moment to like to teach people how to optimize their breathing while training.
So
And
good.
yeah, we're trying to
There's a
work
way.
out
It's a wave coming where I think breath were obviously extremely popular, no doubt, but
There's
coming
gotta be a
into
different way to
training,
breathe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've just seen like from what it's helped me and how much better it's made me train and like how much stronger I've gotten from it and like feeling a lot better once I leave the gym too. It's just like even with stretching, when you stretch, there's ways you can breathe in. Like so, if you're
Yes.
trying to go lower, you're like and like breathe with it and like move with it and just learning all these different ways and yeah, it's fucking. I reckon that's the way it's gonna be going next.
So good.
It's
And of
definitely through
course,
training.
as you know, it's going to suck at first,
Yeah.
and that'll weed a lot of people out, unfortunately. But
Yep.
you get through that initial phase.
Yeah.
But I just feel like exactly to what you're saying. Like I'm on this journey now as well, where, and you guys, I'm sure, are experiencing the same things in terms of like marketing, where the same things I'm doing. I want to take a very real, authentic approach, but you've got to. People, why are we influenced? You know, I buy shit all the time that I can't afford, but I want it. I need it, so I'm buying it. Or I see something that I want, but like we're very influenced by it's. You got to give story and purpose to everything. And I'm not saying you're selling anything that's not real,
Yeah.
but like to go through that journey of like, give something hard hitting that is factual that maybe people can't interpret, but it's that perceived expertise, and then bring it down and explain it to them so they can understand, but then tell a story.
Yeah.
Like, your story is the way you get buy-in. If you can give purpose, and I think education is like a much more well-received and wanted thing now, probably because of social media and how accessible it is, but like, I'm sort of very passionate and fall in love with like trying to educate, learn myself, understand it, and then educate, but educate in like story with some enthusiasm and passion and like something that people can actually understand and connect with. That's the skill or talent that I'm really trying to pick up, because that's the shit that lands.
Yeah.
You can talk at people all day, but you tell it in a story. Again, example, you could say that same concept, but then tell the buffalo story, and it's like, fuck yeah, I get it, I understand.
Yeah, like a big one too for like young men is like, people would rather go out in town, spend money on drugs and drinking, but then there's a $250 course that goes for 6 hours. That's like, it could change your whole life. But like, no, I don't want to spend money on that. It's not worth it. But then they'll happily go out, spend their money on the drinking, which is not like, you go do it. But if you're still going to be going through things, and I reckon like one little course can help change your whole life. And then like trying to show people that's a hard one.
So true, bro.
Yeah.
So true. So if I just wonder, how do you get to, what's that breakthrough? How do you get to the point where you value like learning and growth? You know what I mean? If we could all aspire to do that.
Yeah.
A lot of people like, it takes them to like really be going through something real bad to then they'll be like, no, okay, I have to do something. Where it's like, when I did his course, I was in a healthy relationship. I won't say healthy, but I was in a relationship, and I thought everything was good. And then once I started actually digging deep on myself and finding out things about myself, I was like, fuck. There's so much more.
And there's a lot of like the stuff you do, because I think we all understand this concept, but if we just say like, our environment growing up is basically dictates who we are, our actions, our habits, our personality, right?
Yep.
Everyone understands the concept, but it's not like, I'm not going to sit here by myself and think about, well, what happened to me when I was 4 years old, 5 years old, 6 years old, you know what I mean? So is part of the stuff that you do kind of understand, like leaning into that, or some sort of workshop or strategy to tap into that sort of stuff?
Yeah, it's a big piece of what we do is going through the conditioning and how, like how what's happened to us when we were younger all of a sudden is now being created in your adulthood, and that's how it's being created. Like our reconnection, I go through a story. I know you've heard this story 15, 20 times now. Sorry.
I feel bad.
Do you want me to tell? It's like
the people who hang around me, I'm like, oh, sorry, man.
Yeah,
I'm
it's like
repetitive,
when we go through the reconnections, I was like, he might tell a story now. He'll be, everyone have their eyes closed, and I'll be standing in the background just like,
miming it.
Just miming it. And just like, there's the peanut butter.
But a conditioning piece that I didn't realize was like my dad left when I was 8. A byproduct of that was, since Dad wasn't there, Mum had to go work 4 jobs and was never home. Like, she was out from 7 a.m. till 11 p.m. And growing up, like, I didn't know that. Like, I was with my nan till I was like 19, 20. And from that, the conditioning that I got from that was that the 2 people that love me the most leave me. Like, and they're not there. Like, they just go. So then when I became, 20, 21, and I've been in the same relationship for 14 years now. So we've been dating since we were 17. And when we were about 20, 21, loved the absolute hell out of it. But I felt like I was just like still keeping her at arm's bay. And I was doing some work with my own coach back then. And he was just like, we went through it all, and we began to see it was just like, it was a protection thing. It was like someone else that I love, I was expecting her to leave. So I was like, instead of letting her fully come in, I was like, no. Like, I'm going to keep you at arm's bay. So when you do leave, I can sort of take the pain a lot easier, rather than fully letting you in like Mum and Dad, and then having to go through that type of pain. And I was just like, holy fuck, like, I didn't even know that was a thing. So from that, like, all our clients that we go through, we go, okay, let's see what's happened to you. Let's see what, either good or bad. And then we can see, oh, that's happened. So this may be the reason why it's coming out in this way, that's maybe why an action from you where you're like, why do I act like this? Why do I say this thing? Or why do I want to protect myself? Or, why do I always get angry at men or women or whatever? And you can relate it back. Oh, fuck. Like, that's wild, the reason why. Yeah. So
I've been through that and it's fucking like, wow. Because like I said, you can't sit here and think about your childhood and try and connect the dots.
Yeah.
Like you just can't.
No.
It takes something, some sort of like practice or workshop or something to create that environment where you can tap into that. I did, have you guys done hypnotherapy? Not hypnotherapy like you're asleep, you're a chicken, like visual hypnotherapy?
I'm trained in hypnotherapy.
Oh, bro. Yeah. So I did this one, and again, I try everything. I'm open-minded. I actually even did it over Zoom.
Yeah.
And like this woman's an angel. Yeah. Steph, her name is from like Bali. And went through it. You have like an hour talk, which I love those chats because you're kind of breaking stuff down and she's saying stuff and light bulbs are going off and you're like, wow. Anyway, I did this. So she takes you on 10 minutes of like visual and, it's like go to a place wherever you think of. And like I think I was on a beach in Costa Rica where I've been and I was like, but it was real. Like because you're doing the visualization, the sand, you feel it in your toes, you feel the sun. And it's weird how going through visualization, you actually, like, you're there. Yeah. You can feel it. And I sometimes think, like, fuck, I wish I did this when I played football.
Yeah.
I used to think about dropping the ball 10 times, not like I should have been thinking about catching it and running 100 meters every time. But that's where my mind went, really weird. Anyway, you set an intention based on exactly what you said, an action or a reaction that is a part of your life that you've identified. And obviously you or this person is thinking, okay, well, we're going to get to the bottom of this. We're going to find out some moment or something that occurred that has instigated this in you. So I did it twice and I'd love to do it again. But basically it's like, all right, I'm going to count down to 5. And the first time you felt this, tell me what it is. 5, 4, bang. And it's like, oh, you just land wherever you land. First time I was like 9-year-old kid at home having a fucking blow up with mum. Second time, I was 4 years old. I was on the stairs and unfortunately, I had a single mum as well. I didn't know my dad, but mum was getting abused, so bashed. And you just go back to that moment and I was like, so you're there and then you're vividly there. Like you're in the room. And then it's like she takes you through this journey of like, what are you seeing? What are you feeling? What are you experiencing? Then you kind of like put yourself in like my mum's shoes. So then because you're in her mindset and you're visualizing this through her, it like neutralizes all those emotions. You're like, fuck. You start to think, fuck, I actually feel sorry for mum. She's going through this, this and this. This is why she's doing this. So like there's this like level of understanding and sympathy for that person, the thing that was making you react like that. And then she made me be like myself now with 4-year-old and 9-year-old me. And like obviously I broke down in tears, but like that was a crazy experience. And you're there, like it's real. And then like, what a profound experience. And it's a shame that I haven't done it more, but I've like, that's something everyone needs to experience. It's unbelievable. And there's no way I'm thinking about some of the ways I react. It was whether it's with women or the second one was not being in control and not liking that feeling. Yeah. There's no way I'm thinking about that happened because of something that happened when I was a child. Yeah. Like there's no way I could make that connection. Yeah. So like unbelievable experience to do that. And as she explained it, like just because you've realized that, you're not like, you'll never not do that again, but you have the awareness. So when it does happen, you're like, oh, I know why this is happening. Yeah. Regain control. And then you go on. So fucking unbelievable.
He's took me through a pretty big one. So me and my mum hadn't had the best relationship growing up. And I was always like with women and stuff, I'd never really like, I don't know, it just wasn't, the love wasn't always there. And it was because I didn't have a good relationship with mum, and he showed me that through a breath work. And then I was like, all right, so I need to work on the relationship with mum. And that's sort of like last year I've been doing that. And then I just had a lot of resentment because my mum, I had a stepsister who passed away. And when all I remember was the memory was when she passed, my mum and my sister never used to like her because she was a stepsister. But then when she died, it's like they loved her. But then I didn't see anything behind the scenes. And then me and my mum had this conversation probably like 2 months ago. And we never had it before, and we finally had it. And she told me her side of the story. And then I just said to her, I was like, I've had this resentment towards you for no reason. And then I was just like now our relationship's heaps better. And it's just all from a breath work. Yeah. Crazy. Oh, man.
And, bro, you know what? Like, there's something powerful in that as well that I'm also leaning into. Like, if I'm thinking something or feeling something, I'm saying it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just
Same.
doing it. Like, I'm not worried about what people think. And even, like, maybe it's not the perfect thing to do or the right, I just, nah. But that goes both ways. Like, sometimes that could be in, in a relationship or getting to know someone or saying something that you know you want to say, but you're harboring those thoughts and emotions because you're worried about what people are going to think. So I'm leaning into that. But then on the other side, like if I ever thought about someone and I'm like, fuck that, that's so good what they did. Like I'm messaging them and I'm telling them like, fuck you, that's so good. I'm so proud of you. Like that costs nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like the power in that.
Yeah.
And I think there's something in it's a concept I got from Roman, who's the founder and CEO of Airlocker, and it's like he's big on moments. And when you he's talking bigger picture moments, but when you grasp that and like you're like looking for moments and experiences, that then comes down to like you're finding the beauty in anything.
Yeah.
So like you see the value in like the day or a small interaction, and like that's where it gets to.
Yeah.
And you have so much gratitude. And again, gratitude's a word that's thrown around. I hate that some of these great words get butchered because they become so like cliche, but like just expressing gratitude, try that. Even try it for yourself. Say, I'm grateful for, that is powerful, but then express gratitude for other people. And like when you think it, lean into it and watch the power it has. And I get that in abundance because I get that opportunity in the platform that I said, but like, mate, it's so good. And it's just the flow on effect of that is just unbelievable. And it's such a simple thing.
Yeah. The first one I seen like moments like it was from Peter Matadia. He dates my cousin. Yeah. And this is when we were younger, and like because we knew him growing up, we didn't think of him as a big deal. And then like we saw these young kids, we were at shopping once, and they like loved him, and like him just getting a little photo of him and signing, and then like them crying and having the time of their life. I was like, that's a fucking that's a moment there, like just being grateful, like those little things. And I was like, that's what everyone wants, like to give people those moments to like always remember and feel special.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Oh man, so good.
So good.
Yeah. Oh. Let's keep going.
Yeah. I'll just go can my fucking women's call and just be.
What time is that? What is the time?
7:30. I don't know what time it is now.
I'm sure if we told them who we had on,
yeah.
Pretty much every girl I said like that put up a thing of you. They're like, "Can we come?" And I was like, "No, you can't."
Little stage potty.
Yeah.
The question box was just filled with, "Is he single?"
Yeah, that's all I got. Was just
including from my mother. My mother goes, "Is he single? What's up?" I'm like, "Mum." Please don't say that.
Yeah, no, it's
so
funny
good.
though.
Oh, mate, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure. I appreciate what you guys are doing, and just to be able to share our own experiences, and hopefully that impacts other people. But it's, as you boys know, like the journey never stops.
Yeah,
I'm constantly. I can articulate a lot of things really well, but I am on this journey to try and articulate some of my thoughts, because I don't see anything that I do as that special or anything that requires any talent. It's just like more understanding and like making the choices of like, first of all, I am going to take control and take power of my thoughts. And if it comes down to that 50-50 split of whether I'm going to think positively or think negatively, surely it's an easy choice. And like if it comes down to looking at something, a risk or a challenge or uncomfortable, and then an easy path, of course, that's much more glamorous and enticing. But I know what's going to happen here. So I'm going to lean into it. And with that control and with that knowledge, you take away fear, because ultimately, fear is, most people fear something that's already happened or something that hasn't happened yet. So like live in the space that you're in now. I can find something you're passionate about and just continually, be around good people, because you are a product of environment, and continually to just chase uncomfortable and take some risks, knowing that the absolute worst that can happen is you fucking learn something. But
well, I was just going to ask you what's a message for everyone, but I think I'm pretty sure that was it.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, no, that was good.
Read your mind. But boys, I really appreciate you having me on. It's great to have these chats. I look forward to doing it again sometime.
Yeah, definitely. Cheers.
Where can they find you? Insta?
Yeah, Instagram. I think it's Sandor_Earl. So, like I said, I'm trying to be as open and authentic as possible. I'm on a pretty cool life journey, so there's always something to take away. But check it out. hopefully there's something that you connect with, or I add some value, and then of course find an Air Locker training. And
Yeah, I was
check
going
it
to
out.
say, I was gonna say
Air Locker
if you don't
shout
go
out.
onto Insta, just go into any Air Locker. You'll see him performing a perfect squat.
That's right. That's
So
right. That's
You'll be
right.
able to see him there.
Yeah.
So definitely check that out. But yeah, thanks,
Yeah.
boys. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank
Cheers.
you.
Cheers.
See you next week.